Hi everyone, I'm Gwen from Nile. Today I want to introduce you to Nile's Schema Visualizer. Databases are great at storing data. They are not always great at visualizing how the data is stored. But visualizing how the data is stored is usually really important to understand what you have. And it's by far the easiest way to do it. So let me demonstrate. I have a database here and I created a bunch of tables. It's a Slack clone. You can see all the messages and notifications, channels. If you click, you can see what columns I have, but it doesn't give you a full picture. Let's see how we can do better. Here it is visualized. So right off the bat, you can see how the tables are related to each other. This is kind of a big deal, and remember that I may have gotten to this schema via several iterations. I may have created tables, dropped tables, added columns, deleted columns. If someone asks me, hey Gwen, so what does the database look like? Last thing I want is to hand him, a stack of migration scripts and have him read through. This just makes everything clear in a single look. Because everything is clear in a single look, you can see that I am missing something here. My attachments, it should have been connected to the rest of the data. So I need to go back and correct that. Let me do that. Okay, we have it again. And let's go see what it looks like. Okay, and now we have the attachments table properly attached to the messages, and all the rest of the keys are in place. You can see it's very easy from here to see all the relationships, but it's not always easy to see what is in a specific table. So the font is just very small. So in order to zoom in, you either use, if you have a mouse pad, you kind of use this zoom in motion. If not, you press on Command and then you scroll in, essentially. So here I am scrolling in. And you can see now that I zoomed onto reactions, I can see that I have a primary key and I can see that I have all the foreign keys here, and I can see some other columns. Most of those tables are in the public schema, and you can see up here that I'm looking at the public schema. But you can also see that notification, reactions, messages, they're all connected to a table called tenant users. You can also see here that this tenant users is not part of the public schema. It is actually part of a different schema called users. So I can see here, not the entire table, just the keys that is connected. If I want to see more information, I can switch over to the user schema. I can see that the user schema has one table called users, another called, I can see that there are the tenants table, and there are a few more tables over in the public schema that are connected to it. If you want to switch between schemas, this is one option as a way to switch between schema. The other is to use the picker. So we can say, okay, I want to view the O schema. The O schema is kind of complicated, but you can see that it has all the tables around OIDC and tracking all the OIDC flow. And you can see that it has connections to a few of the tables in the user schema and also to some tables in the public schema. So what is it good for? As you've already seen, it's good for detecting that I created a table, but I forgot a foreign key. It is also good when you're collaborating with another engineer and you kind of want to show him I'm doing this and he has some other ideas. You can try it, you can visualize. This looks that way, the other thing looks the other way. Obviously, discovering if I want to show all the notifications for users from the last 10 days, you can kind of see how to join things so you'll know where to get your data and how to create the right query for it. Also useful when you communicate with stakeholders. The number of times the manager said, so Gwen, what does the schema look like these days? I can either invite him to my workspace or send him a screenshot. If I want to invite him, go to the workspace, go to accounts. You can see that I already have some users and I can invite more. If I fill in the emails, they'll get a nice email. They click on the link and they can join your workers. Okay, so one more thing I want to show you, which is you may not have known, but in addition to the schemas that show up in Nile, users, public auth, you can actually create your own new schemas if you want to namespace some of your tables under a new grouping. And then you can connect them to any kind of existing table or schema via foreign keys as you normally would. So let me create a new schema. And we're just going to call it new schema. That's easy. And I'm going to create a new table in this schema. And this new table, I'm going to create a foreign key that connects it to tenants. So this is a tenant aware table. It has tenant ID column in it. And I'm going to connect it to tenants via foreign key, and then we'll see how it visualizes. Okay, so I have the new table, and you can see it over here. You can see that we have the new table here, and it's connected to tenants, which is on the public schema, and tenant ID is connected to ID, and then we can switch over to public schema and see the rest of the table. So that's it. It was pretty short. You got to see how Nile visualizes tables, which is cool new features that we are quite excited about. And you also got to see how you can add more schemas to your Nile database and use it to namespace your table that way, if you find it convenient, of course. But always an option, and Nile visualization is going to help you either way. So next step, grab a Nile database, start creating your app, and if your schema looks extra pretty in the visualizer, send us a screenshot over in Discord or on Twitter. We would love to see it, and most of all, have a lot of fun and great success building your SaaS.